This week. Dan Hampton and Ed O'Bradovich standing by to remember Dick Butkus and get ready for tonight's game.
I'm Kevin Wells, WGN News. Next news, when it happens, next scheduled news will be 6:30 on Hampton OB.
All right, Kevin, thanks very much. As Hampton OB will come at you just in a few moments from right now. We'll talk a little bit about the game coming up tonight. And, of course, we'll remember the legend Dick Butkus as he passed away at the age of 80. That has been confirmed, and we will chat about the legend that is Dick Butkus and was Dick Butkus, along with the game tonight between the Bears and the Washington Commanders. Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. We'll get it started here in just a moment on 720 WGN. Tired of living with hip pain? Are you missing an active lifestyle? Regain your mobility, your strength, and your independence with the American Hip Institute. Located here in Chicago, the American Hip Institute is an innovative global leader in treating hip pain. The American Hip Institute is the first clinic to provide exclusive, minimally invasive anterior robotic hip treatment. Robotic technology guides your surgeon to a more precise, lasting, and pain-free outcome. And since there's no cutting of muscles, your recovery is swift, getting you back to the things you love sooner. These are the most experienced specialists in the world. They performed over 10,000 hip surgeries. No wonder pro athletes from all over the world come to the American Hip Institute. They want to play pain-free, and you do too. Get back in the game with a call to the American Hip Institute to schedule an appointment or request a second opinion. Call them at 833-USA-HIPS. That's 833-USA-HIPS, or go to AmericanHipInstitute.com. This is Hip Care Reinvented, personalized for you.
Hampton OB.
You guys have the best football show in America. I'm talking 48 contiguous states and Alaska and Hawaii.
You're correct, sir. Right on the button.
Is tonight the night?
There's a slight possibility.
Can the Bears finally win?
I don't see how it's possible.
Stick around and find out as the Bears head to D.C.
Good luck. Good luck. We're all counting on you.
Good luck, guys.
It's the Hampton OB Show, sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com.
I just want to know one thing, OB.
What time is it?
It's go time.
Go Bears!
Hampton OB on the air here as the Bears getting ready to play the Washington Commanders on a Thursday night football game in our nation's capital. Andy Mazer alongside the guys here. Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Of course, we begin the show with some of the tough news that we heard earlier today about the passing of Dick Butkus at the age of 80. We got the reports today and unfortunately had them confirmed, and it's with a heavy heart that we wish the Butkus family all the condolences in the world from us here at WGN Radio. And guys, I know you had special relationships both on and off the field with good old number 51.
Well, kind of difficult news. Obviously known Dick for quite some time. When I first met him, Dick was, I believe, a sophomore at CVS on the south side. And his brother Ronnie went to Illinois, and I was attending Illinois. And Ronnie brought him down, and Dick was like 14 years old. And he would come and see the Bears play. When I got out of Illinois, when Dick was at Illinois, he would come to Wrigley Field, and he'd holler at me when we're warming up. And I'm just trying to put some thoughts together, folks. It's kind of a difficult situation. I'm not quite sure in the history of football, let alone the Chicago Bears, who basically is the history of football. There's been some phenomenal names and some phenomenal people that have played this game. And I can assure you, Dick Butkus, every second, every minute he was out there, all he wanted to do was win. He played his heart out, played his guts out. If anybody exemplified what the National Football League is, if anybody, it's Dick Butkus, number 51.
You know, OB, it's a great gift that I was able to be a part in some small way of being a part of the Chicago Bear history. But I'll never forget growing up, everybody, I was in Arkansas, and of course, Dick Butkus obviously everybody knew who Dick Butkus was. But when I was drafted, there was a snowstorm here, and I couldn't fly up and, do the meet the public or what, the media. And this kid, he was a walk-on at Arkansas, and he came up and he handed me this book, and it was a paperback, and it was called Stop Action. And it was authored by Dick Butkus. And I remember I went back to my dorm room and I read the book cover to cover. It took to about 4 o'clock in the morning, but it was so compelling in the sense that it was like, okay, here's a whole new world that I am now going to be entering, and to read the book, I thought it was unbelievable, because before I even met you, somewhere in 79 or 80, I knew all about you, because I actually read the book 3 times over the next couple of weeks, just so I could kind of immerse myself in, what it was like or about to be a part of the Chicago Bears, and all the names, that, you and Brubaker and Doug Buffone and all these names that way before I even got here, I knew all about you. But the overarching part of the book that I loved was the fact that as great as he was, he longed to be a champion, to win. And to hear you say that nobody cared more about winning and being a part of a great championship team than Dick Butkus. And, it didn't happen, but it didn't change his philosophy, his approach to the game of football. And, just like you, I know you've known him now, 60-something years plus. And it's truly a sad day for us.
Well, yes, it is, and it's for all football fans, no matter what team, what state, what town. It doesn't matter. When you lose a guy like Dick Butkus, it kind of hits hard. And what I'm thinking about right now is Helen Butkus, Dick's wife. They started dating when they were in grade school. In grade school. They went all through high school, got married in college, and lived together every day for almost their entire basic lifetime. And I can feel for Helen right now, again, being together all this time, having that true love affair from when they were just kids in grade school. And I can imagine what Helen is going through. And Helen, I just hope you're gonna do good, kid. And our prayers are for you, the family, the kids, the grandkids. You will be fine. And Dick, I can't believe you're gone. I just can't believe it. Too many years we were together when he was a little teenager. My Lord.
Well said, guys. We appreciate your thoughts. And of course, our thoughts are with the Butkus family on this tough day here too as well. We're going to take a quick time out here. We're going to come back. We're going to chat a little bit more about the game tonight. There is a game due to talk about with the Bears and the Commanders, as insignificant as it seems at this particular point, but we'll be chatting about that here in just a moment. Hampton will be sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Let's get a check of weather and traffic from Mary Vanderbilt.
Clear skies and 70 degrees, low of 52 for tonight. Tomorrow, partly sunny, a chance of rain, and a high of 6.
Back to the Hampton OB Show, sponsored by your local Chevy dealers.
And Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Before we delve into the X's and O's, time for the current odds on some key matchups for today. According to Circa Sports Illinois, tonight the Bears are getting 6, and right now the total is 44.5 against Washington. If you're looking for other key matchups over the weekend, the Raiders are 1.5 favorites against the Packers. The largest spread on the board right now, the Dolphins getting 12 against the Giants. We saw the Giants play the other night, and that's probably not a bad line right there. A bet like the pros with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. The Circa Sports app is now available here in Illinois. Now you can download, fund, and bet like a pro from anywhere in Illinois with Circa Sports. All right, gents, so we've got the Thursday night game here. These are always weird games because you don't have a whole lot of time to prepare for these games. But then again, both teams don't have the equal time to prepare for it. So what are you thinking with the way things ended last week and then the short week at House Hall? Is that better, maybe?
Well, first and foremost, we have to kind of do a little, look back. Remember, it was last year that the Bears kind of fell into a crisis mode. We played this same team, the Commanders, on a Thursday night here at Soldier Field, and the offense was completely snuffed out, and that's when they had the 11-day revision of the offense, and they went to New England and actually won their last football game by opening up the offense with Justin Fields being more, active running the ball, and obviously, that kind of sparked a few things that we won that night. We didn't win after that. But the Commanders, they're not a great team, but they can present some problems. They're
they have a pretty good defensive line.
Oh, they got a great defensive line.
And that's what our quarterback has to worry about.
And I thought about this in some abstract way. I think it was kind of what would you say, a nod to what we were here in Chicago. And Ron Rivera obviously has been there for a number of years, 6-7 years now. Anyway, all of his defensive linemen are first-round draft picks. Payne is terrific. Chase Young is, I think, the first overall pick. Anyway, Chico obviously respected the fact that our defensive line here in Chicago, when we played, was so dominant that so many things are possible if your defensive line is, ultimately able to take over a football game.
Dan, let me just jump in real quick there. You couldn't have said a truer statement. I'm going to tell you, the history of this game. How do you win in this game? I know how you win in this game, all right? And where does it start, okay? You obviously with an owner with a lot of money and whatever have you. But it starts up front, folks. It starts up front. The 5 offensive linemen and the 3 or 4 defensive linemen. You got to have dominant people up there. If you've got the dominant people, you will have a chance to get into the playoffs and win a world championship. Okay? We all know there's only one guy that could take it to that higher level, and that's a quarterback. And he's the only one of the 53. But I'll tell you, up front, Danny, when you guys played, you guys had a great defensive line. I mean, second to none. And you guys had a hell of an offensive line. Jumbo, Colbert, Bortz. I mean, come on, you guys. And how did you win it? That's where it started. You guys up front, and then they got the receivers, etc.
So all that being said, Washington can present big problems for our offensive line tonight. That being said, Justin Fields was much better last week. And for 40 minutes, they looked like the team we all kind of thought or expected we would see in the month of September. All I can tell you is, Justin Fields has to be the same guy we saw the first almost 3 quarters of the game last week. Decisive, and able to be fearless and let the ball go and go ahead and put the ball in the air, obviously accurately and hopefully, but he was 16 of 16 the first half. And that tells you that there has been progress. They're trying to figure it out. Now, you and I talk long and hard about getting him out of the pocket, getting him on a half-field read where he has a better chance and a better command of what's going on. Well, last week, I think, 8 times in the first 3 games, and we know how they all turned out, he was outside the pocket 8 times in 3 games. Well, in the first 3 quarters of the game last week, 8 times he was outside the pocket, and 7 of those 8 times he completed passes. And they weren't little dink dunks. They were down the field. All that being said, those are the things that we need to capitalize on tonight and generate offense by utilizing his abilities on the edges.
Well, Dan, listen, we played a pathetic football team.
True.
Okay?
But they beat us.
Pathetic football team. And you're talking about how good he was for 3 quarters. You know what his stats were in the 4th quarter last week? You know what his stats were, folks? He had a quarterback rating of 21.0. He was 5 of 11 for 50 yards and threw 1 interception. That's how he closed out the game, and that's one of the reasons why we lost the game.
All right, we'll come back with more of Hampton OB coming up here as the Bears take on the Washington Commanders, coming up a little after 7 o'clock. Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Put a Chevy Silverado in your toolbox, and we would like to say a big thanks to Rosebud Restaurants.
An NFL icon and beloved Chicago Bear, Dick Butkus, has died at the age of 80 in his home in Malibu, California. Butkus is an NFL Hall of Famer, 8-time Pro Bowl middle linebacker, and 6-time first-team All-Pro. Statement from George McCaskey, the Bears chairman. Dick was the ultimate Bear and one of the greatest players in NFL history. He was Chicago's son. He exuded what our great city is all about, and not coincidentally what George Halas looked for in a player: toughness, smarts, instincts, passion, and leadership. He refused to accept anything less than the best from himself or his teammates. When we dedicated the George Halas statue at our team headquarters, we asked Dick to speak at the ceremony because we knew he spoke for Papa Bear. That full statement is also online. You can read it. Kevin Powell has much more coming up in sports. WGN Sports Time now approaching 6:35.
One of the greatest to ever play the game, Hall of Famer Dick Butkus, has died. 9 from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Dick Butkus was a fierce and passionate competitor who helped define the linebacker position as one of the NFL's all-time greats. Dick's intuition, toughness, and athleticism made him the model linebacker whose name will forever be linked to the position and the Chicago Bears. There is a game to be played tonight. The Bears in Washington taking on the 2-2 Commanders. More on the matchup and a lot more on Dick Butkus coming up with Dan Hampton and Ed O'Bradovich. Preseason Blackhawks hockey tonight at the United Center.
All of our energy, all of our passion into it, because it takes all that. It takes all of our focus to get this done. And the guys are wired in.
Head coach Matt Eberflus.
You forgot to mention the word smarts.
Yeah. That's part of the principle, right?
Yeah, that's part of his deal. You just forgot it.
Hampton OB.
The last 4 weeks.
Sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Before we dive right back into it, we're trying to give away money in a gift card to Second City Prime Steak and Seafood. Raising the Stakes is sponsored by Second City Prime Steak and Seafood. You can order today at SecondCityPrime.com. If the Bears win, you win. We started with $100 at the beginning of the year, and it's rolled over. So we're going to take caller number 7 right now, 312-981-7200. If the Bears win, you're going to win a $500 gift card for Second City Prime.
That's a whole cow.
That's a big cow, yes. So we can give that to you, 312-981-7200.
That's a neat thing.
Yeah, I like this. Hopefully it resets itself at 100 pretty soon here, but yeah, 500 is 500. So, all right, guys, we got the game coming up here in just about a half an hour or so from our nation's capital. We mentioned that Eddie Jackson and Jalen Johnson, 2 of the starting DBs, are both going to miss the game again today with injury. And Chase Claypool, well, we all know the situation with him. He's not even with the team. He's been basically told to stay home.
2 things. Number 1, the reason we've seen Jack Sanborn a lot more than what I guess everyone anticipated is because of all the string of injuries in the secondary. He's essentially playing like a hybrid nickel position because Gordon's been out since the opener. Long story short, if Washington has, a game plan where they're going to try to ISO on him and run wheel routes and different things with backs on Jack Sanborn, we're going to be struggling. So, again, it's something that we're going to see on third down. And OB, you brought it up during the break. We struggle on both sides of the ball on third down.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. The guys, I'm looking at the first 4 weeks of this season. Okay, we're 0-4. The opponents were allowed to convert more than 50% of third down conversions. Okay, more than 50%. And the last time something like that happened, folks, it was well over 30 years ago. In other words, we can't stop anybody. Period. All right? And what do you think we do offensively? You know what we can't do? We can't convert on third down. Offensively, that has been a problem for quite some time. We just cannot convert on third down. And defensively, we can't stop anybody on third down. Now, here's the other thing. In this game tonight, for Fields, I believe, Danny, he's really got to step up to the plate. I know we're not talking about playing the Washington Commanders, talking about playing a juggernaut. But I'm going to tell you what they do have. They have a smart head coach in Ron Rivera, and they have a hell of a defensive line. They might have one of as good as any other defensive line, 49ers or any other team in the league, if not the best. So this is going to be a test for our offensive line to go after these guys and null and void them at the line of scrimmage. Because these guys come. They go after you, folks. And that's what we have to stop today, Danny, is the onslaught of those 3 guys or those 4 guys coming with blitzes. If we can do that, we might have a chance at winning this game.
Okay, and that brings up the fact that Tevin Jenkins is off of the IR. Now, he has only done walkthroughs this week, no real practice, but there is, reports that he will, if he doesn't start at left guard, he will get a number of snaps at left guard. And if that happens, that means that Cody Whitehair will go back to the center position, which is where he was projected, before the season started, and Jenkins got hurt. How will they play together? Who knows? Nate Davis had his best game of this young season. The only time he's really actually shown up and produced last week. So we'll see how that interior offensive line holds up against those massive defensive tackles of the Commanders.
All right, more coming up on the Hampton OB show here in just a moment. Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com.
You were talking about third down. That used to be the money down in football. But you know what? Last week, most of the offense, the damage that we were able to inflict on the Broncos was on first and second down. I don't want us to get into this, handoff, and then getting third and long. We may have a repeat of what we saw, against Cleveland Browns last year, where we were sacked 10, 11 times. So, money down tonight is first down. And don't forget about the screen. If there's ever been a game you want to throw the screen and make those big bodies run, tonight's the night.
And then the second thing, Danny, is play action. Okay? Because the defensive line, their first responsibility and the 3 linebackers is to stop the run. And if you can go with play action, that will help our offensive line. Fire out and hold them right at the line of scrimmage. So if you're talking about what Dan just said, and I'm telling you, come back with play action. It'll work against this team.
Hampton OB is sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Put a Chevy Silverado in your toolbox. We're going to come back after this break, and we're going to wrap things up. We're going to be remembering Dick Butkus once again. If you haven't heard the news, unfortunately, the great monster of the Midway, Dick Butkus, passed away today at the age of 80. We'll get back to that coming up here in just a few moments as the Bears get ready to take on the Washington Commanders. Time now for a check of traffic and weather with Mary Vanderbilt.
Clear and 60.
Better with football than a big, juicy, mouth-watering steak. And Second City Prime Steak and Seafood is the best you'll ever put on that grill. They exclusively source the top 2% of USDA prime steak. This isn't the same overpriced steak that you'll find in your grocery store. Second City Prime owners, Chris and Susie, we met them earlier this year. They searched the globe for the best prime steak, the very, very best filet mignon, Japanese Wagyu. Mr. OB.
What I was just going to say, Ann we had 2 hamburgers. that we got from them. And I'm going to tell you what, folks. Like the hamburger's a hamburger. Well, I want to tell you what. Those hamburgers that we ate, and we both looked at, absolutely delicious. And I'm not promoting this or what. I'm just trying to tell you the truth. The hamburgers from those people, I tell you what, they're second to none. They're absolutely delicious.
You have to try the filet. My wife and I did the fillets. Awesome.
But I'm being very honest.
Me too.
It was delicious.
Yep. So they have the filet mignon. They have the Japanese Wagyu, the Australian Wagyu, bone-in ribeye, porterhouse, New York strip, and a whole bunch more. The flavor, the tenderness, it will blow your mind whether you're grilling at home or tailgating. Order from Second City Prime Steak and Seafood. You'll get 10% off your order. Just use the promo code WGN10. Do that at checkout. Plus free shipping for orders of $150 or more. Orders ship the same day or pickup is available in Northbrook. Visit SecondCityPrime.com right now. That's SecondCityPrime.com. Use promo code WGN for 10% off. Guys, I know you had special relationships both on and off the field with good old number 51.
I'm not quite sure in the history of football, let alone the Chicago Bears, who basically is the history of football. There's been some phenomenal names and some phenomenal people that have played this game. And I can assure you, he played his heart out, played his guts out. If anybody exemplified what the National Football League is, it's Dick Butkus, number 51.
That was earlier today, as we found out the news that Dick Butkus had passed away. The NFL has put out a statement as well from Commissioner Roger Goodell saying Dick Butkus was a fierce and passionate competitor who helped define the linebacker position as one of the NFL's all-time greats. Dick's intuition, toughness, and athleticism made him the model linebacker whose name will forever be linked to the position and to the Chicago Bears. We send our deepest condolences to the Butkus family, the Bears organization, and the many fans and people he impacted throughout his life. Dick passed away today at the age of 80. We understand he died peacefully in his sleep. And it's hard because, we have a game to talk about, and that Dick would probably say, look, talk about the game. Forget about this. But you guys were so close with him. I only knew him as toward the end of his career as a player, and more as a color commentator here on WGN when, Dan, you guys were
we won the Super Bowl. He was in the booth.
Yep.
And after the game, this guy right here talked some crony into opening a bar up at midnight, and we went in there. Dick was with us. What was the name of the place? Louisiana?
La
Louisiana. And I mean, he was forever. When we'd go play the Rams, or back then the Rams were in St. Louis, we'd play the Raiders, who were in St. Louis at the Coliseum. Dick and James Garner would be in the tunnel when we'd come out of the locker room and would talk with him before the game, after the game. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe he's no longer here. Bigger than life.
The Roger Goodell statement talked about just the impact that he had not only on the Bears, but on the position of linebacker, the way that he played it with the ferocity that he played it. I mean, it really did define the position going forward, didn't it?
Well, Dick's attitude was, when it came to football, and obviously especially defense, because at Illinois, he played both ways. He was the offensive center, and he was the middle linebacker, and obviously nobody played it any better than what he did. And when he came into the Bears, the great Bill George was the middle linebacker, and then after about a year, they traded Bill George to the Rams, and Dick took over that position. And Dick, people, when he played, you talk about a fierce competitor. I mean, there's a million stories I could tell you about him, but I think once he hated the Detroit Lions, okay?
And
Flanagan, who was their center. All right? So they're beating us, okay? And there's there's maybe 15, 20 seconds to go in the game. I mean, God couldn't help us, okay, to win the football game. And they're on our 1 yard line. And they didn't want to score on us. And they get down and it's first down. So what do? The Lions come out of the huddle, and the quarterback takes the snap and he takes the knee. With that, they want to run the clock out and get it out. The game's over with. Dick Butkus calls timeout. He did. He called timeout. Why? To get another shot at Flanagan.
Yeah, take off.
And Dick would, on mercy, he would wallop him. I mean, hit him right in the face with a forearm and shove that face mask right back in his face, and boom, blood would spurt out. So then second down comes. Okay, let's say there's 12 seconds left. Second down. He takes the ball, quarterback, and he kneels down and to end the play. Bam! Timeout. Butkus calls another timeout. And I'll never forget, Rosie told me, he says, "Oh, B, what the hell is he doing?" I said, "He wants more of that guy." Yeah, that's all I can tell you, Rosie. We get in the huddle, and I said, "Dick, what the hell are you doing?" He said, looked at me, he said, "None of your business." Okay, that's fine. So third down comes. What happens? They take a knee again, and bang, he calls timeout again. Timeout again, and there's no way we can win this game. All because he wanted another shot at Flanagan and to let the Detroit Lions that we ain't going down without a fight. So we all had to fire out every time. And that was Dick Butkus, folks.
And
he took no hostages. He did no favors for anybody on that football field. You talk about taking care of business. Nobody did it better than Dick Butkus. Nobody.
Wouldn't it be great if that's the effort we see tonight?
It would be fantastic to see as the Bears get ready to take on the Washington Commanders. They will be in D.C. tonight. The kickoff a little after 7 or so. About 7:15 is when they'll let you kick it off. We will come back as soon as the game is over. We will be back on the air with you here for our post-game show. And we'll take you till 12:30 tonight. So plenty of time for phone calls here tonight as you watch the game, kind of write things down and let us know what you want to talk about after the game. We'll be on right after the game ends. And then we'll be up until about 12:30 this morning, I guess it is, with Hampton will be on the post-game show.
Hang in with us, folks.
Yeah, hang in. We're going to be right on after the game, and we'll take your phone calls at that point, 312-981-7200. Coming up after the news, I will be rejoining you. I'll take you until we get to Blackhawks hockey tonight at 7:30. And we'll talk a little bit more about the late Dick Butkus coming up here after the news as well. And we'll also check in with Joe Brand, who is out at the United Center tonight. Connor Bedard once again in the Blackhawks lineup tonight as they play their second to last preseason game before the big opener coming up on Tuesday night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'll join Joe Brand a little bit around 7:20 or so. We'll get his thoughts as they drop the puck here on WGN right around 7:30 this evening. And again, a bunch of good stuff here coming up. So after 7 o'clock, stick with us, and I'll be with you until 7:30 Blackhawks game, and then we'll come back after the post-game show after the Bears, hopefully, snap the 14-game losing streak and take care of the Commanders here this evening in our nation's capital. Hampton OB has been sponsored by your local Chevy dealers at ChevyDriveChicago.com. Put a Chevy Silverado in your toolbox. Hey, it's challenging.